let's talk about the future of project management. Because right now, the ground is shifting under our feet. The old rule books, they're basically being tossed out. By 2025, the skills that really matter are going to look totally different. So let's decode exactly what you need to know to not just keep up, but to lead the pack. So, I've got a question for you. And let's just be honest here. Does your project management playbook feel a little, out of date? Because if you're still leaning on the same old methods you learned years ago, you might be falling behind without even realizing it. The game has seriously changed. And that feeling isn't just in your head. It's happening for a very real reason. The entire project management landscape is shifting, and it's shifting fast. We're going to start by digging into why those old rules just don't cut it anymore, and, more importantly, what's taking their place. And this right here really gets to the heart of it. We're moving away from those rigid, step-by-step traditional methods. That predictable, straight road is gone. What's taking over is something way more fluid, more dynamic. We're talking about a future that demands we are integrated, adaptive, and just plain flexible if we want to succeed. Okay, so if the old way is on its way out, what does this new, future-forward world of project management actually look like? Well, let's dive in. It's time to talk about the new rules and the new tools that are defining what success looks like right now. So here they are, the big trends that are reshaping your role as we speak. You've got AI and automation creeping into everything we do. You've got agile breaking out of the IT department and spreading across entire companies. And there's this huge new focus on what we call power skills. Leadership, real communication, strategic thinking. But honestly, the biggest shift of all, the one we're going to zoom in on, is the absolute dominance of hybrid approaches. And the numbers don't lie. For years, people argued about agile versus waterfall. Well, the methodology wars are officially over, and the winner is kind of surprising. It's not one or the other, it's hybrid. Nearly half of all project managers now use some kind of blended approach, which makes it, by far, the most popular method out there. So, what even is hybrid? Well, the best way to think about it is like a custom toolkit. You're not locked into one rigid system. Instead, you get to pick and choose. You take the best parts of predictive planning from something like Waterfall, and you blend it with the speed and flexibility of agile to create the perfect approach for your specific project. Now, trying to navigate all this change can feel a little overwhelming, right? So how do you actually prove to the world that you've mastered this new landscape? This is where we need to talk about the gold standard, the Project Management Professional Certification, or PMP. Honestly, think of it as your map for this new world. And here's the really crucial part. The PMP itself has evolved right along with the industry. It is no longer about proving you know one specific way of doing things. Today, getting your PMP validates that you can lead projects effectively no matter the industry and, this is key, no matter the methodology. Whether it's predictive, agile, or those hybrid models we just talked about.
Okay, so you get the why. It makes sense. Now let's get into the how. Getting your PMP isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. There are actually 3 distinct paths to becoming eligible. Let's figure out which one is yours. All right, here are the 3 main ways to get there. The most common path is for folks with a 4-year bachelor's degree. For you, it's 36 months of leading projects. Now, if you have a secondary diploma, like a high school diploma or an associate's degree, the experience requirement is a bit longer, at 60 months. And for both of those paths, you'll also need 35 hours of formal project management education. But there's also a fast track. If your degree happens to be from a GAC-accredited program, that's a school that PMI has globally recognized for its PM curriculum, you only need 24 months of experience. Oh, and here's a fantastic pro tip for you. If you already have your CAPM, that's the Certified Associate in Project Management cert, then good news, you've already met that 35-hour education requirement. You can just check that box and move on. So, once you're eligible, there's just one final hurdle, the exam itself. Let's pull back the curtain and look at the actual blueprint for success. We're going to break down what's on the exam and what you should probably plan to invest, both in time and money. The exam is split into 3 big areas, or domains. First is process. This is all the technical stuff, the nuts and bolts, and it makes up half the exam. But look at this, the people domain is 42%. That is huge, and it just shows you how much emphasis is now placed on leadership, on managing your team, on being a good communicator. And finally, the business environment piece at 8% is all about tying your project back to the big picture strategy. And listen, this is probably the most important thing to understand about the test today. The modern PMP exam is not about memorizing formulas from a textbook. It's designed to test your real-world judgment. It does that by weaving agile and hybrid scenarios through all three of those domains. You have to prove you know which approach to apply and when. Now, let's talk about the investment. Let's get real with the numbers. A membership with the Project Management Institute is about $129 a year. But just look at this. It saves you $250 on the exam fee alone. I mean, it's a total no-brainer. The membership pays for itself and then some right away. So what's the total bottom line? When you factor in the membership fee, the exam fee, and the cost of that required training, this is the range you're probably looking at. The lower end, around $650, usually covers self-paced online courses. The higher end, well, that's more for those intensive, instructor-led boot camps. You know, you can see this entire shift perfectly just by looking at how the PMP book guide, the Bible of project management, has evolved. The old way was super prescriptive. It was all about rigid processes and rules. The new 7th edition, it's all principles-based. It's not a rulebook anymore. It's a guide that empowers you to be adaptive and to choose the best path forward for your situation. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Your job as a modern project leader is no longer about trying to force every project into one specific box. It's about understanding the entire spectrum of approaches and having the wisdom to know which tools to pull from your toolkit to deliver real value. So, there you have it. The landscape has officially shifted. The new rules of the game are clear, and the playbook has been completely rewritten. The future of project management isn't some far-off thing on the horizon. It's here, right now. So the only real question left is the one we started with. Is your playbook ready? Are you ready to lead?